Since last month's lab leak videos, I've been sent hundreds of documents alleging all modern medical problems stem from scientific mishaps. Humans could never dissect the millions of pages in the citations, but ChatGPT's document analyzing plugins authenticated and fact-checked to filter out from the sea of conspiracy theories some surprising nuggets of truth that are getting overlooked. Today, it's the story of cancer and primate viruses. So ChatGPT, some background on what primate viruses infected Africans around the time of primate-human experiments in that area.
During the 20th century, scientists injected humans with fresh blood from chimps and other primates in malaria experiments, inoculated humans with vaccines containing primate cells, and inseminated women in experiments to create human-chimpanzee hybrids. In the same era, viruses with primate origins, such as SV40, HIV, RSV, SFV, monkeypox, yellow fever, Zika, Ebola, and Marburg, were identified in humans. Theoretically, any could have transferred through these procedures, but only SV40's transmission via polio vaccines is widely accepted. Between 10 to 30% of US polio vaccines in the 1950s and early 1960s contained SV40, known to cause cancer in animals and found in various human cancers. However, a causal link in humans is not agreed upon.
All those viruses are found in African primates, except SV40, which originated in the Asian rhesus macaques. Some argue are safer for making vaccines. But in the 1990s, the vaccine maker at the center of the AIDS scandal said that despite decades of progress, producing a vaccine free of unwanted primate viruses still remained a possibly insuperable challenge, as the primate viruses were, quote, innumerable. Is that really true?
Researchers estimate about 1.67 million unknown viruses. Of these, up to 827,000 might have the potential to infect humans. Only 263 of these viruses have been identified, leaving the effects of the vast majority on humans unknown.
Do today's vaccines still expose us to these primate viruses?
By the early 2000s, developed countries generally shifted from using wild-caught monkeys to captive-bred or Vero cell lines for vaccine production. Properly managed Vero cells should not contain original primate viruses. As of 2021, some less developed regions might still use traditional methods involving primate kidneys.
Okay, so please give a quick recap of the theory AIDS originated from one such vaccine, as this feeds into the topic of SV40.
The creators of the 1957 polio vaccine in Kinshasa, Congo, initially conceded that it might have contained SIV traces related to HIV. The first AIDS case appeared there 2 years post-vaccination, and early cases were traced to this region. They countered with remains claimed to be from before the campaign, but these were later revealed as switched. In 2004, Warabe's paper refuted the contaminated polio vaccine theory, arguing AIDS originated in the PTT chimp subspecies, not PTS as claimed. The cited theory, however, stated chimps were collected broadly, possibly including PTT, leading some to view the paper as a straw man. In 2008, Warabe presented evidence of AIDS in Kinshasa before vaccinations, based on 1960 blood samples. This paper's assumption that the virus initially infected one human, without considering multiple infections from evolved chimp strains, led some to see circular logic, as it used the initial assumption to prove the conclusion. After being accused of causing the AIDS pandemic, the vaccine's manufacturer asserted that the chimpanzees in their Congo laboratory were used only for testing the vaccine, which was made in the US from Asian rhesus macaques. However, the vaccination site schedule shows this vaccine was administered in eastern Congo, with no mention of the origin of the vaccine used in western Congo, including Kinshasa, where AIDS first appeared. This leaves unanswered questions about the origin of the vaccine used in western Congo, and does not directly refute the theory that locally produced vaccine might have been used in the region where the AIDS pandemic first appeared.
ChatGPT is an indispensable resource for scrutinizing scientific papers. It offers generous interpretations to uphold establishment narratives if at all possible, but Unintimidated by the author's credentials, it calls out their logic flaws. So in episode 7, I offered a grant to anyone who could locate one of the many scientific papers credited with refuting the AIDS-OPV theory that ChatGPT could verify was merely a good faith attempt. Nada. They're all masterpieces, like these two from Warraby, the same scientist who, with Anderson and the rest of the Proximal Origins authors, convinced Nature's peer reviewers that COVID could not have originated from the Wuhan lab because no lab workers appeared on the early case list conveniently provided by the very Chinese authorities accused of the cover-up. This overlooked vaccination site list punches yet another hole in the establishment's US-only vaccine in Africa narrative. It shows the US-made vaccines were used up in Eastern Africa, validating the Congo Lab's film-featured claim they made a local vaccine from test chimpanzees for the Western regions, AIDS' initial hotbed. Even Anthony Fauci conceded, if accurate, it would be an, quote, open and shut case that AIDS originated from the vaccine. But today, ChatGPT focused on the eastern regions where the SV40 containing US vaccine was used. What's the concern?
Dr. Bernice Eddy, an NIH scientist, identified the SV40 virus as a potential cause of cancer in animals. Despite her alarming discovery, her superiors initially disregarded her findings, resulting in her losing her lab and being removed from polio research.
Well, the sitemap shows this oral vaccine was squirted in the mouths of children in the eastern regions. So, did they develop cancer?
In the 1960s in eastern tropical Africa, an unusual number of children developed jaw cancer, suspected to be caused by a virus.
Did the US use this same oral version?
The SV40 contaminated polio vaccines in the US during the 1950s and early 1960s were administered through injection.
And what about cancer rates?
During the 20th century, the rate of cancer diagnosis increased, particularly from the 1960s onwards.
So what does Merck, the maker of one of the implicated SV40 containing polio vaccines, have to say?
Merck, along with other mainstream scientific authorities, has generally adhered to the stance that there is no clear evidence of a causal relationship between SV40 and human cancer. Some researchers continue to explore the connection, but the relationship between SV40 and human cancer remains unresolved and controversial in the scientific community.
I ask, should we trust scientists obliged to reach industry-favored findings to safeguard their careers and government funding? Dr. Eddy got the boot 60 years ago for linking vaccines to cancer. Similarly, Chris Exley would have kept his esteemed status if his Alzheimer's cure was a new lucrative drug, not a pricey reformulation of a current cash cow. As a result, he was sacked, stripped of funding, and branded an anti-vax pariah. It's clear that the cancer research that receives generous funding must focus on finding new drugs to treat it rather than implicating existing ones that cause it. As confirmed by ChatGPT in episode 2, the solution is for us, with no agenda or product to sell, to crowdfund independent, high-quality studies to decisively address our concerns. ChatGPT's proposed study would compare numerous health outcomes against vaccination schedules in both the US and Japan. Japan's unique, cautious approach includes reformulating vaccines to address skeptics' concerns, including the placebo-controlled trials sought by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Japan directly credits this with reversing their rise in food allergies, and this study would explore the impact on Japan's outstanding records in infant mortality, life expectancy, and healthcare efficiency. Visit this link for the full video and tweet your pledge of support by clicking the hashtag and blue button. If we rally enough pledges to fund a rigorous study, seasoned, unbiased experts can tweet back their project proposals. FactBid serves as a simple, non-commercial site to catalog by hashtag our pledges or bids for facts alongside claims from potential providers. The aim is fact-finding that inspires confidence by debunking conspiracy theories while avoiding blind faith in government and corporate media.